welfare payments.
H.A.R.T. Technology, human analysis risk technology, I believe it is.
He's one of many scientists working to formalize the criteria of transparency.
When a computer makes a decision about your health or your benefit, you have the right to face your accuser in court. How can you face your accuser in court if it's a digital AI?
Standard is that it should always be possible to find out why an intelligent system made a particular decision.
And can we do that now?
It's easy to say but hard to do. We can for some robots, but not all of them. I mean, one of the things we are advocating for within this standard is that robots should be fitted with the robot equivalent of a flight data recorder in an aircraft. In other words, something that records everything that is going on so that you can actually look at the data in the flight data recorder, the black box as we call it, and find out exactly why the robot made that particular decision.
In computer science, a black box is not a physical object, like the flight data recorder Professor Winfield referred to. It's a metaphor to describe the inner workings of a machine learning system, one that often evolves independently.
People normally, when they talk about black boxes, they mean algorithms that are often complicated and take outputs of previous steps as inputs and then keep going in the same mechanism many times. And once you've redone a step several times, it can be very hard to disentangle what exactly in that repetition of steps made you choose to do a certain thing at the end of the entire loop of steps. And that's how you end up in a black box algorithm.
Why is it acceptable that we think it's okay that we don't understand how these algorithms are churning along?
Do you know exactly how your car works?
No. But there are people out there who do.
Yes.
But when you deal with some of these algorithms, no human being is capable of understanding the complex mathematical workings that are going on. So there's a difference between I don't understand my car, but I know a mechanic will, and this black box that even the most sophisticated computer scientists can't explain.
Yes, that's very true. And I think the thing to understand is that as the people who design the systems, we have to decide, does it matter to us that we know why a certain decision was taken? And that's not a decision that can be left to people who are experts on algorithms. That's a conversation that needs to be had at a societal levels, because it's deciding how much do I value understanding versus a better performance.
Machines only follow instructions. They do not think as humans do. The building blocks of everything they learn, we teach them. As technology gets more sophisticated, moral dilemmas will be unavoidable.
Matthew and Dave have just been on about this less than an hour ago.
Passengers over other road users. If it makes a lethal maneuver, will it be considered the fault of the car or its programming? This question has moved from the theoretical world to the real one after a self-driving car killed a pedestrian in Arizona in March. My colleague Dave Edmonds presented an analysis concerning this topic late last year. And there is the chronic fear of magnifying the very human characteristics that we want to correct.
If we can decide at a high level what the moral principles should be and train the machine to take those principles into account, then the machine will be much more consistent about that than humans know how to be in their actual behavior. But if they're using an algorithm that's been programmed in a way to remove bias, then I think we're in a much stronger position to say the machine helps us to be more moral by having less bias than humans know how to be when they're making clinical decisions with their gut. We have a potential to improve human morality by controlling the machines and telling them to say, do as I say and not necessarily as I do.
Really, when we talk about teaching machines to interact with humans, one of the things we really want to be able to do is to tell them, how does our society work? What are the appropriate social and cultural norms that they must follow, to avoid conflict?
And one of the ways humans share their knowledge is through stories, often passed down over generations. Professor Mark Wardell is the director of the Entertainment Intelligence Lab at Georgia Tech University. He and his team are very accomplished storytellers.
We might ask 100 or 200 people to tell very short, simple stories about what they do when they go to a restaurant, or how they would choose to go on a date, or what they do when they catch an airplane. And we take these stories, and then the artificial intelligence looks for the patterns of behavior to say, well, certain things happen in certain orders more often than not. And it learns those behaviors and then demonstrates that it can repeat those things in some virtual test environment.
So at the moment, these stories are quite simple in their nature.
Very simple right now. But even the simple stories have a lot of very useful behavior from the perspective of AI assistive agents and butler bots. So if you want a robot that can accompany you to a restaurant, it is going to benefit from understanding